No one ever remembers the janitor at a billionaire's gala. Not his face, not his name, not the sound of his shoes squeaking softly against marble floors worth more than his yearly salary. Daniel Carter liked it that way. Being invisible meant no trouble, no questions, no risk of losing the only job keeping a roof over his daughter's head. That night, the Ross Foundation charity gala glittered like a dream Daniel could never afford to have. Chandeliers spilled white light like frozen waterfalls from the ceiling. Women in silk gowns laughed behind jeweled hands. Men in tailored suits spoke in low, confident voices about stocks, mergers, and private islands. Every laugh sounded expensive. Every step echoed money. Daniel pushed his cleaning cart slowly along the edge of the ballroom, careful not to interrupt anyone's world. He kept his eyes down, trained on the floor for spills that might earn him a sharp glance or a complaint. His uniform was clean but worn, the blue fabric faded at the elbows. His name badge, Daniel, hung slightly crooked, a small reminder that he existed. In his pocket, his phone buzzed once. A message from Lily's daycare. "Lily's asleep. She asked if you'll read tonight?" His chest tightened. He always read to her, even when he came home exhausted. Especially then. He typed back quickly. "I will. Tell her Daddy promises." Daniel exhaled and tucked the phone away. Just a few more hours. Just a few more floors to clean. Then home. Across the room, surrounded by donors and cameras, stood Evelyn Ross. Daniel didn't know much about billionaires, but everyone knew her name. Founder of one of the world's most powerful tech empires. Sharp mind. Sharper tongue. Magazine covers called her untouchable, brilliant, ice cold. She wore a silver gown that caught the light every time she moved, her posture flawless, her smile precise. She looked like someone who had never needed help in her life. Daniel noticed her only because the crowd around her shifted suddenly. At first, it was subtle. A slight pause in her laughter. A hand drifting to her chest. Daniel slowed his cart, frowning. He'd learned to read small signs. Lily's asthma attacks had taught him that danger rarely arrived loudly at first. Evelyn's smile wavered. She inhaled sharply. Once. Twice. Her eyes widened, not with drama, but with confusion. The glass in her hand trembled. Someone joked nearby. Someone laughed. Then Evelyn Ross staggered. The glass shattered on the marble floor, the sound sharp and violent. Conversations broke off mid-sentence. Heads turned. Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs. Evelyn grabbed at her throat. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The security team hesitated, unsure if this was a feint, a panic attack, or something else. Cameras kept rolling. Phones came up instinctively, trained by years of scandal hunting. Daniel abandoned his cart. He moved before his mind caught up with his body. His feet carried him forward, his pulse roaring in his ears. He saw the color draining from Evelyn's face, her lips turning pale, then faintly blue. She wasn't breathing. A memory slammed into him without warning. Lily at 4 years old, sitting at the kitchen table, laughing with crumbs on her cheeks. Then coughing. Then choking. Her tiny hands clawing at the air. Daniel screaming her name, his mind going blank before training kicked in. The helpless terror. The way time stretched and twisted. Daniel dropped to his knees in front of Evelyn Ross. "Move back!" he shouted, his voice rough, louder than he thought possible. A security guard finally stepped forward. "Sir?" "She's not breathing," Daniel snapped, already lowering her gently to the floor. He didn't ask permission. He didn't think about cameras or consequences. There was only one thing that mattered. Air. He tilted her head, checking her mouth quickly. No obstruction. Her chest didn't rise. "Call emergency services!" someone yelled. Daniel placed 2 fingers at her neck. Nothing. The ballroom was silent now, the kind of silence that presses against your ears. 100 wealthy guests stared in horror as a janitor cradled the most powerful woman in the room. Daniel positioned himself, hands steady despite the fear tearing through him. He leaned down, sealed his mouth over hers, and breathed. One breath. He pulled back. Nothing. Another breath. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Someone gasped. Someone whispered, "Did he just?" Daniel didn't hear them. He gave another breath, his own lungs burning. His heart thundered so loudly he thought it might drown out everything else. Then Evelyn coughed. Hard. Her body jerked, air rushing back into her lungs like a storm breaking through. She sucked in a desperate breath, then another, her chest heaving. Color crept back into her cheeks. The room exploded into sound. Security surged forward. Medics rushed in. Voices overlapped, shouts, orders, disbelief. Daniel sat back on his heels, shaking. His hands trembled as the adrenaline drained from his body, leaving exhaustion in its wake. He stared at Evelyn, barely registering the medics lifting her onto a stretcher. Her eyes found his. For a split second, the billionaire and the janitor locked gazes. Her expression wasn't cold or polished. It was raw. Shocked. Grateful. Human. Then she was gone, wheeled away as cameras flashed and whispers grew louder. Daniel slowly stood, his knees weak. A security guard grabbed his arm. "You can't be here," the man said, not unkindly but firmly. Daniel nodded, numb. "I was just—" "We know," another guard said, glancing at him with something like respect. "We'll need a statement." Daniel swallowed. All he could think about was Lily. About being late. About whether he'd lose his job. As he walked back toward his abandoned cart, the room parted for him in a way it never had before. Eyes followed him, curious, shocked, judgmental. Some people looked away, uncomfortable. Others stared openly. A woman whispered, "Did you see that?" He kissed her. No, he saved her. Daniel's ears burned. He wanted to disappear again, to fade back into the background where he belonged. But invisibility was no longer an option. Outside, an ambulance wailed into the night, carrying Evelyn Ross away from the glittering world she ruled. Daniel stood alone in the center of the ballroom, the echo of sirens fading, unaware that his life had just split into two halves, before that kiss, and everything that would come after.